What's up, everybody? Unrested with the questions you requested. This is JFAQ, Japan's frequently asked questions. Today we've got a JFAQ on high school. I had a viewer send me a top 10 list and ask, is this list true about Japanese high schools? Well, let's go ahead and jump right in and take a look. Number one, it says dress code. The dress codes in anime are usually the same as what is actually in Japanese high schools here. Yeah, for the most part, I would say that's true. You've got kind of the black button down that the guys wear and kind of the sailor looking suit that the girls wear. Some schools are acting more like American parochial schools and allowing just students to choose their own tie and button down shirt, but for the most part, they do stick to those uniforms pretty uniformly. Get it? 2, no janitors. Yeah, we've gone over this before. Do Japanese kids clean their classroom? There is, for the most part, no janitors at most Japanese high schools, and the kids are expected to clean their own school themselves. Do they actually do this? I guess we could say technically yes, they stand there with brooms and cleaning utensils, but nonetheless not a lot gets cleaned. The schools are pretty dingy, and for the most part kids act like they normally would if you ask them to clean their room. Even worse, if you ask them to clean their school, they're not really too excited to do that. Let's be 100% honest. Number 3, no substitute teachers. Now this was one I was a little bit confused by. It said that if a teacher doesn't show up for the day, they just leave a class totally without a teacher. This seems like it would be too dangerous for Japan to do. They may just stay in their homeroom teacher's classroom. I've seen that before, but I will say, as teaching an English teacher's job in the past, or I should say an ALT, an assistant language teacher's job, I'm not officially a teacher without a license, but I do remember if the other teacher didn't show up, I would just teach the class alone. They would be a bit nervous about me doing this, but nonetheless I did do that, so perhaps that's totally 100% correct. The sasumata. If you don't know what the sasumata is, it is a long aluminum pole with a hook on the end like this, kind of like a C hook shaped like this. Usually if this is only used if an attacker comes to the school. There have actually been incidents in the past where people have shown up to schools with knives. These are very, very, very rare instances, and usually for the most part it tended to be people with severe mental problems that showed up and tried to do this stuff. There's not a single shooting in a school in Japan, only stabbings. But when these people do show up, when this kind of incident does happen, you need to be prepared with something, and if the police can't show up right away, the first thing that they come out with is usually this thing called the sasumata, and it is like I said, it looks like a pitchfork. But instead of having that middle bar that a pitchfork would have, it just has like a C hook. And some people think that you would use it to like grasp around here, around the neck, but it actually is opened wide enough that you could just slip your head out. At one school I taught at, the beginning of the school year, they actually went through a seminar teaching us how to use this instrument, and you actually go diagonal with the hook. You hit here and underneath, if you can see correctly, I don't know if you can, underneath the shoulder, and the person can't slip out. So you're literally using your body weight to pin them against almost every single wall of the school would be okay to use, because every single place in a Japanese school is usually concrete or brick. They're made to last. They're built like prisons. Let's be honest. The concho. Oh, the deadly concho. I'm sure you've seen this in anime. It's when someone takes their fingers, like such, or sometimes they use 2, and they stick it up someone's butthole. It's true. It really does exist in Japan. I have only had this happen one time at a very bad elementary school. A kid tried to do this. He got right up to me, and I started to feel, and I took this kid. I remember it was like pretty much an instinctual reaction. The second I felt this kid touching me, he didn't get to go, you know, knuckle deep or something, but as soon as I felt the tips of this kid's finger touch me, I remember I spun around and I caught him like here with my arm and pinned him up underneath his chin against the wall, and the other kids just laughed at him. Another teacher walked by and was like, "Hey, why are you doing that?" And I said, "He just tried to concho me," and the guy was like, "Oh, okay, go ahead, continue." So it's not considered something that's appropriate to do to teachers or other students. If you do it, you will get in a lot of trouble, and you usually will be sent to Kocho Sensei, not Kancho Sensei. Kocho Sensei is the principal of the school. And I remember I'm sure I overreacted quite a bit, but it was instinctual. I just threw my arm back and suddenly launched this kid up against the wall and pinned him because I was just so surprised. And when another teacher saw me doing that, they were they didn't have any kind of bad reaction, any kind of negative reaction. They weren't like, you know, whoa, 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 calm down. They're just like, oh yeah, this kid deserves it. He's being an ass. Okay, moving on from there, hot lunches. Every day is hot lunches. This is very true. Yeah, every day, they're not the best lunches, but they are hot lunches. They bring in a whole group of canisters that are massive tins, usually full of a big bucket of rice, a big bucket of miso soup, usually some fish or some sort of protein, usually a side of bread or maybe a little pack of rice. And every day they'll eat a hot lunch in the classroom. They, for the most part, aren't the best lunches. They're so-so. They usually come with milk as well. And that is a hot lunch every day. You do not bring your own lunch unless you have some sort of special dietary needs. Even then, sometimes the companies that send the lunches will make exceptions and make special dietary need lunches. Okay, greetings and goodbyes. Every time a class starts or ends, the students greet and say goodbye to the teacher. Yes, this is true, but this isn't like a wholesome, like teary-eye-filled, emotional hello and goodbye each time. This is almost uniform in a military way where they, you know, come in, bow, say let's start, and bow and finish and say let's go. That's it. It's not really like heartfelt or very close or personal to the teacher. Saturday school. This Saturday school exists in Japan. A lot of people have told me that they've heard all through the week there's only one day off that high school students get. This is, I guess, half true and half not true. As of 1992, the government actually ruled that schools should not be doing any more than 5 days a week. Unfortunately, a lot of schools didn't even listen to this. They're just like, whatever, and kept having 6 days of school. But for the most part, now at this point in Japan, that 6 days is usually only used for either sports or club meetings, which really isn't too different from you and I in the West. I mean, that's where I used to have my track meets or my cross-country meets. Art club never met on a Saturday though, so I guess that's a little bit different. Moving on from there, 5-week break, number 9. Yes, there is only a 5-week break for summer vacation here in Japan, but something they didn't mention in this, I noticed, is they didn't mention there is a winter break as well, which is usually about 2 weeks to 3 weeks, depending on how much the school gives off. Yeah, we don't get the full 2 months off like you would in America, although not every school in America does take 2 months off for the summer. In Japan, they take 5 weeks off for summertime in between. They don't actually change grades, though, after that. They don't change grades until April, actually. That's when the grades actually switch over. You go on winter break, then you come back, you go on a short Golden Week break, and then usually after that is when you'll switch. Sometimes before that, too, they switch in March. Just depends on how your school works. Number 10, 4th in the world. The Japanese high school students are ranked 4th in the world for intelligence, aptitude, level of knowledge of history, level of knowledge of the world. America, you're ranked 28th. Sorry to tell you. Anyway, guys, that is a little bit about the top 10 things you should know about Japanese high schools. To give you a little more education on that. If you have any more questions that I didn't cover with these top 10s, at any time, feel free to place them in the comments. Again, if you have articles like this viewer sent me, thank you very much. I would be happy to read them and go over them and let you know how true or how false they are. I am unrested with the questions you requested. This is JFAQ Japan's frequently asked questions. Have a good one.